Hi again, it's me Cinnamon, and today I'm doing my first budget recap for the month of November. This was actually a really interesting month to do a budget recap because I had a lot of unexpected sources of income and a lot of unexpected expenses. So I'm really glad I did a forecast for this month because it really just goes to show how different things can be from how you planned. So to start off with my income, I'm just going to focus more so on the things that I wasn't expecting. Firstly, I do usually get interest and some cash back, but I forgot to include that in my forecast. So going forward, I will definitely include my interest at least because that does come at the first of the month and at a steady interest rate. So it's definitely something I can include in the forecast. Whereas my cash back comes with a revolving interest rate and it also comes in the middle of the month. So I'm just not going to include it going forward. But I will note that I am expecting something for it. The first really, really unexpected source of income was that I got my security deposit back from my old apartment. I was expecting to get that back in December, but I got it a bit earlier in November. My original security deposit was $1,200, and I only got back $958.69. So I will be contacting my leasing agency over that discrepancy. But overall, I'm actually just glad I got something back because I almost did forget about this. And finally, my last kind of unexpected source of income was that I got a small additional tax refund of $8 back from the state. Even though it's a small amount, I just thought it was like something super odd to happen in the month. Anyway, with all of those sources of income and my paychecks coming back as I would have expected them, I had $13,522.36 as gross income. This was over $1,100 more than I had budgeted for. I also had some unexpected things with my paycheck deductions. I had originally miscalculated my HSA contribution by $10, but the main thing that was different between my forecast and now my recap were my taxes. So on my first paycheck, where I contributed to both my 401k and my HSA, I was taxed over $300 less than I had predicted using ADP's paycheck calculator. I don't know if I just put information into ADP wrong, but I was really surprised to see such a big difference because ADP is usually within a $10 difference. Because of paying lower taxes on that paycheck, I ended up having $1,400 more to budget with. And there are going to be some things that also happen below that lead me to having more to budget with than I originally forecasted. So the final thing that left me with having more to budget with than I originally forecasted is just a change in this methodology here. I am now factoring in my rollover as a special consideration because without factoring that in, I can't get my investing numbers to match up on my sheet with ynab. If I go to ynab, there is this income versus expense page, and everything on the sheet is largely going to match up with it. It's just that on my sheet, I get to make more specific categories for each month that I don't have to worry about hiding or whatever for the next month in reports and anything like that. I just get to create them and destroy them very quickly. So this is just to make the math work out with ynab. Yeah, that is another reason why I have more money to work with. So after factoring in my additional gross income, my lower paycheck deductions, and my rollover, I had $8,606.96 to budget with. And that is $1,800 over what I had forecasted. So to get into the interesting part of the recap, I'm going to go over my expenses, mostly the notable stuff. Oops, went too far down. So starting with my usual things, renter's insurance was the same. I paid an extremely high amount in utilities. I believe this was paying in advance for December though. So hopefully my December utilities come out to $0. I had other utilities originally as an expense here, but I realized I treat it more as a sinking fund. So it's $0 here, but I did put what I needed to put into that sinking fund, and you'll see that in my sinking fund categories below. I then had my normal phone bill. I spent $111 less in transportation to work than I had planned, and that's because I'd actually found a cheaper routine that relied more on public transportation, which I'm really happy about because with that, I am cutting that transportation expense in half. Even though it does get reimbursed, it just feels good to not be spending too much when I don't need to, and I actually prefer this new route a lot more. I did keep Google storage. I'm going to be also keeping that in December. I bought some earphones spontaneously. Mine had broken for a while, actually. I have like multiple pairs that I use for different reasons. So one of my on the go ones had broken, and I was trying to just like not listen to music on the go or anything like that, but I definitely just needed to get a new pair, so that was $20.73. I spent $810.96 on food, and not actually just this was all I spent on food. There's food in other categories here, but what I'm assigning just like my diet category that, maybe doesn't have a specific social event that it's tied to, and that is $360 over what I'd budgeted. I also like didn't stick to my goals with this group. I didn't stick to ordering takeout at most 2 times this month and cooking or anything like that. It was not a super busy month in that I didn't feel like I had the time to cook, but I did buy groceries and I felt like it was really, really expensive and it didn't feel worth it to buy groceries instead of just like eating out, to be honest. I do want to get this number more in line with my plans, but I'm gonna have to figure out what to do. I'm thinking about doing like a grocery delivery service or something like that, but I have to crunch the numbers to see if it's really going to help me out. Next, I didn't buy any supplements this month, and I don't think I will buy many going forward just because I feel like ultimately what's going to help me feel better is getting like a diet that really aligns with my lifestyle. So cooking I know is going to be important for me. So supplements are just something I feel like that are, for me at least right now, more of a band-aid. I did go out to a lunch with my coworkers, and that was $21.89. And to get to that lunch, I only spent $10.20. And the reason why this is so low is because I actually had a coworker drive me back to work, so I was able to save money on transportation then. And that was like really nice. So I really appreciated that. I did buy a lot of hair accessories, starting with I bought like a few Tangle Teezer products and some deep conditioner that I've just been needing to restock. I mainly was planning to get a scarf during this time, and I was actually gifted a scarf, so that was great. And I really was close to my budget here. I budgeted 30, but I ended up spending $31.79, which is like really close, so I'm happy about that. For my dentist visits, I spent $0 on transportation there. That is because I biked, which is a little bit of a spoiler for a big expense I had this month. But yeah, saved me $45 in transportation. But the bike was definitely not free, so we'll see if it ends up saving me money in the long haul. I did go to the movies with my friend. I bought us the tickets, and I had originally planned on just like getting my own tickets, getting my own food, but I ended up just buying tickets for the both of us, and that was $52.76, which is insane. But even though I overspent a little bit here, I think logistically it's always just easier to have one person do tickets, one person do food, and my friend did drive me too, so I think I spent a little bit more on the tickets, but to me, it felt really worth it. I had planned to go to a cafe with another one of my friends, but she ended up getting sick, so we canceled those plans, and I'm planning to get a gift for her while she's recovering. Oh my God, I forgot I had this in here. This was $0, but it was not good, so bittersweet, I guess. I ended up taking myself on a solo date to like make up for this experience, and that was $45, but I just have that in my diet category. But yeah, maybe I should put it here instead. I don't know. Doesn't make too much of a difference on the actual final numbers, but yeah, this was just a mess. Scrolling down a bit to look at what I spent in my buffer categories. So I spent an additional $14.73 on transportation, and that was just one Uber. My transportation costs have been super low because I did get a bike. I spent $46.32 on additional health and hygiene products. That was actually mainly nail care products and tools. I had planned on spending $30, and even though I spent over 50% more, I'm still really happy with this number because it was all stuff I really wanted and needed. I did not spend anything else related to work. I spent an additional $15.83 on aesthetic stuff. So I put my nail polishes in this category. I think I actually got only one nail polish, but since that's more beauty focused, I didn't feel like it fit with the health and hygiene category. I spent an additional $78 on social stuff. Again, slightly over budget here by $18, but I'm happy to be over budget here. It was overall like a pretty good month. with me being over budget in the places that I'm happy to be spending more, excluding, of course, food, because the food I have been getting, I haven't even been super excited about. Yeah. Oh, and as a note, my discretionary is 0. I treat this as like a buffer category to cover overspending, so it should always be 0 because I like to actually give everything a final label instead of attributing the amount to this category. All in all, I spent $3,145.68 on my core expenses, which is $147.35 less than I had budgeted. And this feels insane to me just because I did overspend so much on food, but I think with the way I've been using ynab, with taking from categories when I am overspending, even when I do overspend, I am keeping within my overall budget goal. Okay, I'll just keep this built out. Now for what I also think is super interesting and where a lot of unexpected things came up was with my sinking funds. A lot of things ended up not happening, so my hair appointment didn't end up happening. My braces down payment also didn't end up happening. And my movie night didn't end up happening, or my HBO night didn't end up happening. So, with all of my savings there, I ended up buying a bike. But before I jump to that, let me cover what I did for Cyber Monday. I didn't actually buy these on Cyber Monday, which I'm glad because everything was selling out. Like, even before Black Friday, everything online was selling out where I was shopping. So, I would really just bought things, I think, either Wednesday or Thanksgiving Day. Everything was selling out. So, I'm super glad I did that. I planned on spending $480 and I had ended up spending $319.92, which I will be getting some of that refunded. So I was $160 under budget there. Even though I'm under budget here, it's not really a big deal to me because it is a sinking fund, so it will just roll over and I'll spend it on clothing later. Now, for the big unexpected expense, I bought a bike for $725.65. Now, the bike I bought was actually discounted, but there's so many things you need to buy when you get a bike. I think I spent like $60 of this, or maybe $80 of this is just on a bike lock. And I have so many other things I need to get. So once I started to see how like all of the expenses with the bike started adding up, I was like, was this a really good decision? But I've enjoyed riding so much, exploring my city on the bike lane. It's been really fun. So in that sense, it does feel worth it because even though it might not make a big difference in how much I end up saving in transportation, it has provided me with some new experiences. All in all, I ended up spending $1,045.57 in my sinking funds, which is $347.23 under budget. Again, this is bittersweet because I'm under budget, but all of that money will just end up rolling over. And I also didn't get a lot of the things I needed to get, so that is why I'm under budget, and I know this spending will happen at some point. For the final part of my recap, I'll go into some of my short and long-term savings. I ended up contributing $3,100 to my sinking funds. I wonder if I have the breakdown of that. Let me go into YNAB. Okay. Yeah, you can see that here. So part of that was going into my other utility sinking fund. Then I took some money, like a cent, out of my hobby sinking fund, put $1,600 into my medical sinking fund, 14, sorry, 440 into my basically shopping sinking fund, and $10 into my smaller sinking funds just to keep up with some stuff, and $948.10 into my family giving sinking fund. So that's the breakdown of that. I have been making like separate sinking fund videos, and let me see what happens when I open that budget. I don't really know how interesting they are to watch, but I will just do quick recaps of the breakdowns that everything ends up being in because I feel like the amount of sinking funds I have are actually kind of like overwhelming. I'm just saving right now, mainly for my Apple Care. Oh, and I want to start saving for vocal lessons. See, I just add things, not even remembering, and this is why I love this because I would totally forget that I wanted to take vocal lessons without this. I also am saving for the braces down payment and my glasses. Have a sinking fund for the bike, and I'm going to be getting additional stuff for that. So I have my sinking fund for my hair, shopping, my room decor, my ynab subscription, and yeah, those are the main things I'm funding right now. That's like a quick recap of my sinking funds and their current values. So now to get back into my sheet. I am not adding anything to my month ahead fund in the sense that it's been fully funded and it will stay fully funded because I didn't overspend here and was able to actually cash flow this month theoretically without my month ahead fund. So my month ahead fund is really good to me for just not having to worry about the timing of purchases, but ideally every month I want to be able to cash flow it with my income. I didn't put anything this month into general savings because right now my main focus is paying myself back, and I was able to put $2,192.43 into paying myself back. That is something you can see in ynab. I'm doing a lot of switching in these videos. Here we can see the numbers are all adding up, and this is why I had to include rollover because things wouldn't have made sense without it. And finally, I didn't end up spending everything from my month ahead fund. So this is how much rollover I had in that month ahead fund, and that is about $167. All in all, everything comes out to zero. Just to clarify too, what I take from my sinking funds doesn't end up affecting my remaining amount because that is just from prior savings. So this is really a picture of how I'm cash flowing the month. And yeah, I hope this gave you guys a good look into what my November looked like because that's what I really wanted to do with these budget forecasts and recaps. I really, really enjoyed this budget forecast because I think it let me actually focus on spending in alignment with my priorities because it is so easy on ynab to move money from where you assigned it. But here, I did this forecast and I said this was the amount I wanted to spend at lunch, for example. And I want to stick to that amount. It really feels a lot more strict because I don't change the cell. And if I did change the cell, I would have to change all of the others. It feels like a lot more work. But ynab makes it really convenient to cover or just unassign something. So I think, yeah, this really gives me a more strict approach to budgeting, which I enjoy because it forces me to actually spend in alignment with my priorities. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm really excited that I started doing these, and I hope to see you in the next video.